Good evening, and thank you for being here. I'm so honored to have your company here tonight, and I'm very happy that the weather's cooperated with us. My thanks to the Art Theater for hosting us again this year for the State of the Second District. This is a beautiful community resource. If we could just give a hand to the theater for hosting us. And before we get started, I wonder if you would just join me in honoring the men and women in our armed forces and our United States by pledging allegiance to our flag. If we can rise. Let's place our hands over our hearts. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There are some things that stay constant, and it's wonderful to be able to count on them, and coming together as a community, pledging allegiance, all of these different things bind us together, so thank you for indulging me. Wanted to just say thank you for coming together here, and as in the years past, we come together as partners in efforts to improve our community and as neighbors whose relationships are the foundation for strong, vibrant, and safe neighborhoods. We were the first council district, you should be proud, to come together in this way to discuss our challenges, successes, and goals. For that matter, we were the first council district to hold a free night at the aquarium, a free night at the Museum of Latin American Art, and the first council district to hold an e-waste event. We're not competitive, but we do like to set the trend. We are competitive. We still have the highest number of tonnage for our e-waste. Tonight we will hear from the Alamedas Beach, Bluff Heights, Broadway, Craftsman Village, Downtown, East Village, 4th Street, North Alamedas Beach, the Promenade, Rose Park, and Shoreline Village. We will also hear from our South and East Divisions in Long Beach Police Department, our local school principals, and a familiar face with a very exciting project. Very surprised. We have a lot of ground to cover, so I want to encourage each group to be mindful of their 5 minutes. To help you stay within your allotted time, our very lovely, but deadly Heather, serious Heather, will be giving you a yellow signal card when 1 minute remains. See that? We use that as a file later on. And a red signal when time is up. And just in case you need a little help ending your presentation, I will be standing over here with my trusty staff waiting to give you a tug. And I actually brought this. We learn every time. I brought this for Commander Johnson because he just has so much good news to share that I have to use this. But poor Jay. You can all ride him later. But before we hear from our neighborhood and business associations, I'd like to share my own report on the state of our district. In 2009, the mayor and city council approved a $38 million general fund budget with over $38 million in cuts to make up for the ongoing revenue shortfalls from our state sources, such as oil revenue, sales occupancy, and secured property taxes. Even so, the council reaffirmed that public safety is its highest priority by restoring to full strength Fire Station 1 in the Downtown Civic Center and Fire Station 18 in East Long Beach, and approved a creative solution enabling our fire department to remain strong by creating a light force crew of 6 firefighters at selected fire stations and restored a marine rescue boat as well. And this is because public safety matters. In addition, the council also restored funding for JCAR juvenile truancy patrols, the Youth Services Division, night auto theft detectives, and nighttime vice team. Recognizing the need to walk the budget cut walk, the mayor and council cut 6% from our own budgets. And in the case of the 2nd District, this resulted in a loss of 1 position, or 25% of my staff. And the closure of our field office on 4th Street, which I know many of you have grown accustomed to seeing for years and years, and it pained us to do so, but we had to do it. But I think what you've known about our district is that you haven't lost any services from us. We are less in resources, but we're committed to you just the same. Over the last 2 years, I've cut my own office budget for 18%. That's significant for a small office budget, but we had to do it. And in the last 2 years, we have reduced our general fund budget in the city by $68 million and eliminated hundreds of positions in an effort to preserve and even make more efficient the services we deliver to residents and businesses in this city. We are trying to do more with a lot less. Still, overall, crime has steadily dropped throughout the district. Our fire department response rate remains among the best statewide. Graffiti removal has gone from 2 weeks to 48 hours, and stray shopping carts numbers have gone down dramatically, and that is a big deal. We no longer see them lingering about for weeks in our neighborhoods. During the 2009 year, I want to share some statistics with you. And these statistics show how hard you, your neighborhoods, your city staff work. During 2009, there were new challenges to our district and even some ongoing problems that went beyond the budget. Alamitos Beach received very good news in the form of a nuisance abatement lawsuit brought about by the city attorney against the irresponsible landlord housing registered sex offenders on First Street. It's very good news. What's more, that property is back in the hands of the previous landlord, who is very responsible, and this is good news for everyone. Thank you, Alamitos Beach Neighborhood Association. I want to thank the activism of this association, the Alamitos Beach Neighborhood Association, and the leadership of Long Beach overall, not to mention a little help from the economy. The Department of Corrections ended its policy to subsidize sex offenders and encourage clustering by its misguided parole department. So whatever the combination of forces are that resulted in this, we are glad because our neighborhoods are better off. Now, some would say that we are simply encouraging more homeless sex offenders by demanding that the practice of clustering end statewide. But I submit to you that there must be a middle ground between these two extremes because our quality of life matters. We will continue to remind our state legislature that the system needs reforming. I'm encouraged by the interests and efforts of Assemblymember Warren Furutani to assist in this endeavor, and I encourage you to write or email Assemblymember Furutani in support of his Assembly Bill 505, which addresses this issue. The 2nd District is one of the main gateways to Long Beach. Its coastal location and downtown attract motorcyclists and nightclubs, two very loud sources of noise, and I have many of you here that will attest to that. Thank you, and thanks to the brainstorming session between my office, residents, and our police department, we have modified our strategy of enforcing illegal mufflers by training and assigning some reserve officers to task. The benefits that our reserve officers provide us is the fact that they do not hold a salary and can concentrate on the matter of policing our corridors for noisy mufflers, leaving our sworn police officers to focus on more immediate threats to public safety. This is a matter of utilizing existing resources and not expending more money. At our last Dining and Entertainment District meeting in December, residents along the promenade and nightclub owners discussed in a very frank manner the impact of noise from music and patrons upon their quality of life. And I want to thank the residents for that. That level of frankness is what's bringing about the change that we'll see. Hanging over the nightclub owners' heads was a motion I had drafted that would limit the hours of entertainment in the downtown on Sunday nights. I'd like to think that the motion had an effect as the nightclub owners agreed to what I hope will be a lasting commitment to peace and quiet in your neighborhood. I want to thank Eric Carr, Nesa Kolisi, Eric Sund, Craig Kojin for your partnership on this matter. Thank you very much. I've said before that the most important natural resource this city has is its beaches and waterfront, aside from its people. It's what distinguishes us from most other large urban cities and should be our main focus for recreation, business, tourism, and development. However, this last week of storms were another reminder of the albatross of a river that's wrapped around our necks as several tons of trash and toxic pollutants from cities upstream were deposited in our harbor and upon our beaches. Our harbor, our beaches. Over the last 2 years, we've retrofitted pump stations outflows, and over 150 comprehensive storm drain catches throughout the Alamitos Beach, Bluff Park, and Bluff Heights that lead directly to our beaches, which not only capture trash, but also toxic chemicals capable of leaching through our sand and into our seawater. I'd like to thank our city manager, Pat West, for spearheading this and ensuring that this happens. Thank you, Pat. And last year, I authored a motion requiring the reduction of stormwater runoff coming from public and private properties. Low-impact development emphasizes the use of small-scale, natural drainage features integrated throughout the city to slow, clean, infiltrate, and capture urban runoff and precipitation, thus reducing water pollution and the amount of water in our gutters and drains. And if I might pause for a second just to share that low-impact development is an outgrowth of some of the work that I've done in my professional side. So I have an opportunity to bring these ideas forward to the council. We have a great city staff that's able to pick these planning schemes up and really run with it. So again, Pat West, I want to thank you and your staff for entertaining everything that we're able to bring to you, but low impact development is something I'm very excited about. Just the type of water management approach that could make the difference when rains like last week come in the future. I hope to see an ordinance drafted by the spring or summer, and I want to thank my council for supporting that initiative for low impact development. So in short, I believe we're doing our part to protect our rivers and harbor. Long Beach is joined by Los Angeles as a leader among cities in our region in reducing marine debris. While all of this debris does not belong to us or originate in our cities, it is our responsibility to ensure that it has a minimal effect on our quality of life, and that is why we invest as much resources as we do in making sure that the debris goes away. That's why I facilitated discussions between our city management and Los Angeles's stormwater officials to identify projects that model best practices and put pressure on smaller cities in our watershed that refuse to retrofit their storm drains. So while we are doing all of this work, we still must work with our upstream cities and bring them along, because if they don't retrofit their storm drains, we will still continue to have the influx of trash, and we are working on this. I hope this partnership between our two cities representing the river's headwater and harbor will also bring increased funding for measures to clean and improve our water quality. Last year, Long Beach's unemployment rate was 9.6%. At the close of 2009, our unemployment rate was estimated to be 13.2%. Tragic figures. Combined with those who are underemployed, and the number jumps to 20%. And this is something that we struggle with. But some good news is on the horizon. After 30 consecutive months of decline, our port posted its first month of growth with a 31% increase in exports and a 14% increase in imports in December. And that's news to celebrate, and I think you're getting us back on track. And modernization projects such as Pier G, J, A, and Middle Harbor will infuse approximately 3,900 industrial trade jobs and 14,000 permanent jobs into our local economy. With a $2.6 billion in projects, the port is clearly serving as a major local stimulus program. Even better, the work being performed will ultimately help the port operate in a more environmentally friendly way. I have always said that the port will be the hub of our green-collar workers, and thank you for living up to that commitment. Speaking of environmental jobs, have you heard? We're still in the running for a Tesla Motors green car manufacturing plant. You all know more than I do, I'm sure. And a clean tech firm in final negotiations with Boeing for a 5-year lease at a 717 site. So I expect an announcement shortly, and regardless of what happens with Tesla, I will tell you, those discussions have put Long Beach on the map. I met with BYD officials who also build electric cars, and they're very much interested in shopping around for the Southern California city. And the fact that they even think of Long Beach means that these discussions we've had have been positive for us, regardless of the outcome. Our downtown is also experiencing a bit of an economic spark with new tenants such as Fresh and Easy, Octopus, La Creperie, Volcanoes, PJ's Pet Cafe, and Promenade. joining the ranks of the existing businesses riding out this economic storm. We also welcome the renovation of our downtown bonds, and I think we're all looking forward to that. I know we'll hear more from the DLBA about the exciting retail visioning being conducted, but it's worth noting that the city once fashioned itself a retail recruiter, a role we should have never engaged in. At my urging, the city manager ended our retail efforts and instead placed us in a position to help sweeten or close retail deals brought to us by brokers or DLBA. And I'd like to share that the community is very much involved in this process as well. Perhaps the most inspiring stories in this recession involve the Retro Row and Broadway corridors, where small but nimble businesses are finding niche markets and building a brand name. I look forward to hearing more from both corridor associations shortly, but I celebrate your resilience, your success in this economy, and you remind us that we can do it here in Long Beach. Thank you. I should also mention the good news of a recent grand opening of Fresh and Easy on 7th Street in Nebraska, closer to my own home. And hopefully this anchor tenant will inspire more improvements along 7th Street. We are looking forward to it. Another challenge to our residents and business community is the proliferation of medical marijuana storefront collectives. There are an estimated 45 collectives citywide, perhaps as many as 5 in the 2nd District. I support efforts to provide qualified patients with medicinal resources they require. But the information I've seen thus far about these dispensaries lead me to believe that most are not living up to the spirit of voter-supported propositions which prohibit profits. That's why I co-authored. That's why I co-authored a motion asking the city attorney to draft an ordinance that protects the rights of qualified patients, but also protects our neighborhoods from unscrupulous operators. I encourage you to show up at our February 2nd council meeting to express your opinion. It matters, and as you've seen before, it does help shape policy. This city attorney is set to bring back, our city attorney is set to bring back a draft ordinance, again on February 2nd for council review. But there are very, very complex and oftentimes contradictory priorities among reasonable minds. And this is what we need your opinion to help sort out. In the 2nd District, we're never far from the issue of parking. Remember parking. We started our relationship with parking. As you know, I've approached this issue in phases from several different angles over the last 3 years. And while the low-hanging fruit is mostly gone, we're able to add nearly 100 spaces and make a couple changes in our municipal code to support parking reforms. To recap, if I might share with you, we created 20-plus spaces across the street at 4th and Cherry. Some of you probably parked here today. It's a wonderful location. That took many years of negotiations and discussions, and several of you were involved in making that happen. 19 additional diagonal spaces on Bonito and Cerritos, and more than 50 overnight spaces in city lots in the East Village. And that's much to your credit, so thank you for that. I am pleased to announce that our driveway parking ordinance, creating a simpler permit process, has finally been passed by the council and is set to become law in February. I also presented and received unanimous support for bedroom splitting ordinance, closing the door on developers and probably owners' intent on increasing the number of residents in our parking impacted area without adding parking. And several of you are here from the neighborhood associations that contributed to that discussion, and I want to thank you for that. Bedroom splitting has plagued our city, plagued our district, and because of your assistance, we've been able to curb it. Like many motions that I present to council, these proposals started with residents in the 2nd District, so thank you to everyone who shared their ideas for improving our community. In 2010, I'll be focusing on the remaining large parking lots in our community. There's Big Lots, Shul by the Shore, Morningland Community Church and on 7th Street, and Seventh-day Adventist Church on 3rd and Bonito. You drive by these large parking lots and it's just so tempting, and so we will get to them in 2010, and I promise you we will have more parking. In addition, I'll be exploring community interest in creating parking improvement district here in our district, the goal of which will be to develop new revenue streams and provide direction for the use of existing revenues such as parking citations, which should be dedicated to creating parking solutions in our community and not punishing it. And while we're on the subject, don't forget to take a second district parking packet in the lobby for use in recruiting property owners into our parking program. A lot of you live by, drive by many lots where we can include them into this program, and I think your encouraging would help get that going. I'm very proud of our continued efforts to promote the responsible recycling of e-waste through my annual e-waste drive, which has collected over 40 tons of e-waste in the last 4 years and inspired several other council offices to hold their own events. And I smile about the e-waste drive. I ran into the gentleman from the Department of Toxic Substance Control from the state, and he introduced me at this green conference yesterday as the woman in Long Beach that's very competitive about e-waste and trash and everything debris. And so I thought that was a great introduction. We're getting it out of our neighborhoods, and certainly it's a moniker I'll wear with pride. So I can be the trash lady for the 2nd District. After some initial bumps in the road, our recycling program for apartment and condo buildings has regained momentum, and I am hopeful that in 2010 we'll deliver on my original vision of bringing recycling opportunities to every resident of Long Beach, not just single-family homeowners. We need to be consistent with what we afford our residents, especially when we are supportive philosophically of recycling. Parks and open space are the places where we relate to each other as human beings. No matter our economic status, age, or color of our skin, they are the great equalizers. And parks are constantly changing and evolving to meet our needs. At last year's address, I discussed my hopes, I discussed my hopes of activating the city's oldest park located in our Civic Center downtown. For most residents, Lincoln Park was a forgotten area relegated to the homeless. A source of frustration and embarrassment to many, I felt the key to its revival was identifying new ways for residents to use and enjoy the park. To that end, we opened the Downtown Dog Park in September, and the response by downtown residents so far has been tremendous. How many of you like the dog park? Due to the transition from one budget cycle to another, there are some glitches. Drinking fountains for human beings and pets have been delayed, but expect to see fountains and plenty more amenities in the new year, we promise. I believe we have a Downtown Dog Park Facebook page being created for residents to network and promote events, so stay tuned. It is a very strong network, believe me. Very dedicated, very committed, so look out for that Facebook page. I wish to thank our Downtown Dog Park Advisory Council members, many of you are here, for their time and commitment to helping Parks, Recreation, and Marine create a first-rate dog park. I am also excited to announce my goal for the 2nd phase of activating Lincoln Park, the creation of our first playground for all new families moving into the downtown. This playground has the potential of being very unique and inventive, given its location to Civic Center. I want to thank the downtown businesswoman Janet Moore for her partnership in this project. She has been a tireless advocate for a downtown playground, and we will make it happen. Thank you, Janet. Thanks for being here. I'm also encouraged by the changes occurring in partnership with the Office of Sustainability and the DLBA to bring California native plants and lighting to the areas of Civic Center. Until a larger master plan can be developed for our Civic Center, these types of changes will give our residents and businesses a measure of pride in our Civic Center. We're still rolling right along on our quest to build a skate park next to our Bixby Park Community Center. And I look at Councilmember Robert Garcia, who just broke ground at the 14th Street Skate Park. Congratulations, Robert. And thank you for being here. As many of you know, we've removed the old and dangerous shuffleboard court and poured a smooth layer of concrete in the courtyard. I hope no one misses the shuffleboard court. I never saw anyone playing there, so hopefully it's not missed. Similar to the 14th Street Skate Park, we're going to partner with a local skate company to bring an exciting array of ramps, slopes, rails to Bixby in hopes of keeping our neighborhood kids safe and active rather than being on our streets and using the Bixby band shell for their tricks. So we're trying to move them off the band shell. After quite a bit of delay, I'm also looking forward to a re-envisioned park opening along the promenade. a space where evening concerts, movies in the park, neighborhood functions, and family outings can occur. Located next to a new bike station and transit center, this space holds so much potential for community use, such as compared to the old sunken amphitheater that was previously there. In 2009, I requested and received permanent volleyball courts and nets installed along Alamitos Beach for residents to enjoy. It is also worth mentioning that Long Beach has been selected as a West Coast host for multiple youth and amateur volleyball organizations, and thank you, Phil Hester, for facilitating that. It shouldn't be a secret that we have embarked on a journey to transform the 2nd District and the entire city into the most bicycle-friendly city in the United States. Hey. And however history will remember this, remember, you in the 2nd District, it was right here in the 2nd District we started this. This was the inspiration to becoming the most bicycle-friendly city in the United States. And don't forget, it is our pride and joy, and I am so glad that I've had the community support to be able to help move this along, and truly we have a great city staff that does that. In 2009, we made incredible strides toward this goal by installing bike lanes along 1st and 2nd Streets, Sharrows and Belmont Shore, hundreds of artful bike racks, hosting a bicycle festival and race, and sponsoring Long Beach Cyclist Reads One Book, Pedaling Revolution by Jeff Mapes, and it was a wonderful discussion and a series of discussions we had with the author. I just want to share with you briefly, I also met with Congressman Earl Blumenauer, who is from Portland, Oregon, who actually is the inspiration for a lot of bicycle revolution in our country, and has encouraged us in many ways to keep up with what we're doing, and offered us any assistance that he might be able to with funding at the federal level. In 2010, I'll be holding community meetings to discuss a proposal to install separated bike lanes downtown, which would make Long Beach one of only 3 large cities behind New York and San Francisco to have such amenities. Imagine that. Yay. Last year, the council participated in a study session about streetcars coming to Long Beach. The limited feasibility study revealed plenty of opportunities to use streetcars as a means of enticing redevelopment in older business corridors stretching out from downtown, as well as increasing the use of public transportation. Now, I understand that not everyone is on board with this concept, especially in this economy. That's fine. I never said that this should happen in a week or next year, for that matter, but like our hopes and dreams for a world-class development at the Queen Mary, or waves breaking on our shores after the removal of the breakwater, the dream of bringing, I knew that'd get your attention, the dream of bringing back a streetcar line to serve residents and businesses is a decade-long process of research and planning, and I want to share with you, we have the stamina for that kind of research and planning, just to be sure we get it done if it's the right thing for our city. I am simply bringing forward ideas such as streetcars, open-air shuttles, pedicabs, and other mobility concepts because I believe we should be broadening our transportation options for residents and visitors alike. It's about giving you options. It's time for everyone to acknowledge that buses are just one of many options necessary to serve a growing downtown and a coastal population willing to let go of one car in the household and begin using public transportation. Besides, I haven't seen any evidence of a new bus route serving as an economic engine, encouraging new investment, business growth, redevelopment, or adaptive reuse along its corridors. But other mobility options do accomplish that, and that's why I'm such a fervent advocate for this. After many months of fine-tuning, I came forward with far-reaching recommendations for making spay and neuter services more affordable and accessible to the public. The legislation included changes to our existing policies on mobile services, volunteer recruitment, enforcement, and cat licensing. Here are a few startling and frankly tragic statistics from Animal Care Services. 6,167 unclaimed dogs and cats were euthanized by the city of Long Beach in 2008. Of that total number, 76%, or over 4,600, were cats. In 2008, approximately 63% of dogs and only 17% of cats were returned to their owners or found new homes after entering the shelter. Now, thanks to the great work of Animal Care Services, the number of euthanized animals was reduced in 2009, but it's time we treat our cats like our dogs by expecting more from their owners. At a recent community meeting I hosted at Bixby Park, residents expressed support for moving forward on all fronts to reduce the number of euthanized animals, so I expect to see a game plan from Animal Care Services in the spring. And I'd like to thank Animal Care for their commitment, and a lot of you have worked with them, and especially our new director. So if you could give a round of applause for Animal Care. Thank you for allowing me this honor to represent you and be your partner in community projects. It is my pride and joy to work with you and to partner with you and develop things not only for the 2nd District, but really in our city that's constructive and really improves our quality of life. You have truly honored me with that privilege. Now, I have the very distinct privilege of introducing a couple of people, but before I do that, I want to mention some folks that are in the audience today. You've heard that Councilmember Robert Garcia is here from the 1st District. City Manager Pat West is here, sitting in the back. Tim Patton is here with Assemblymember Bonnie Lowenthal's office. Tim. Mike Conway, Director of Department of Public Works. Glenda Williams from the Department of Library Services, and I want to thank Glenda for hanging in there with us during the storms. I came to visit the library, and you have a great staff, and thank you. Alan Politano, Acting Fire Chief, is there in the back. Sitting next to my dad, by the way. My father's back there, Joseph. Jeffrey Reed, Deputy Chief, Fire Department, and Phil Hester, Department of Parks and Recreation. And before we move to the next segment, I wanted to thank my staff, my very truly committed, dedicated staff for their amazing work. I have Heather Blackman here in the front. Brock Coward is doing what he loves to do best. He's back there in that cube up in the screen room, and I think he's having a good time. And Ramon Aguilar, also from my staff, is all the way in the back. And I also want to introduce a very special member of our staff, and that's Barbara. She is a student at Long Beach City College, quite the star of our office, and truly one of CD2's superstars. Thank you, Barbara. Now, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing two very capable and hardworking officers from the Long Beach Police Department, Commander Jay Johnson of the South Division and Lieutenant Ken Rosenthal of East Division. So let's start with a report from South Division. Commander Johnson, 5 minutes. Can we handle that?
Thank you, ma'am. Last year, I apparently had some problems with my speech, so I'll try and keep it brief. You know, even though I carry a gun, I'm not about to challenge a councilwoman with a stick. So.
Nonetheless, as a councilwoman had stated, I could talk for a long time when I talk about the city of Long Beach and the things that I'm proud of and the exciting things that are happening. I'll tell you, I've been part of this city for 45 years now, and I have never been more proud of this city than I am today. There are so many great things happening in this city, and I'm so proud of this city. I'm so happy to be part of this city. And I want to start off by saying congratulations. Congratulations because, again, the official crime stats are out, and again, for another year, we have dropped crime in the city of Long Beach. And that's great news. Not only for the entire city, but more important to me is South Division, which is the majority of Council District 2 and 1. And we've dropped crime in South Division as well. So I'm very happy for that. And there's a lot of reasons why we've dropped crime. But the biggest reason, I talk about this everywhere I go, is because of people like you. And I say this over and over again, but you got to understand, I really sincerely mean this. Crime would not drop if it wasn't for people like you, the community that is involved that is out there helping us, working side by side. The fact that I could come in here tonight, and I know most of the faces here tonight, I've worked with you on different projects throughout the city. That is what is happening with our city that's causing the crime to go down. So thank you for that. Thank you for your involvement. And please continue to stay involved and cause other people to get involved. The second thing that's happening in our city that's helping with this reduction in crime is I think your city government, thanks to your leaders, such as Councilwoman Lowenthal and our city manager, Pat West, back there, our city government is becoming more effective in fighting crime. You see, fighting crime is not just a police problem. You know, Glenda Williams is here from Library Services. Glenda and her staff, they're crime fighters. We know statistically that the more, particularly youth, that we get into a library and reading and educated, that reduces crime. Phil Hester's here from Parks and Recreation and Marine, and he's a crime fighter. He and his staff are crime fighters. As a matter of fact, I'm living proof of that. My dad, most of you don't know this, my dad worked for the city in the Recreation Department. I grew up he was a director of El Dorado Park and then Houghton Park. I grew up in the park system, and I firmly believe that helped keep me out of trouble when I was a kid and helped land me where I am today. So what we've done with our city government, instead of community policing, you've probably heard of community-oriented governance. Our community, our government is now working better than ever, I think, together because of the leadership that we have to affect crime. And I think we're getting better and better every year, and the stats show it. We're at a crime rate now. I've been here working for the police department for 23 years. This is the most involvement I've seen with the city government working together. This is the most involvement with the community. In the 23 years, this is the lowest crime rate we've ever had since I've been here. So congratulations to all of you. I'm going to stop now. Anytime I have remaining, I'm going to yield to somebody else because I'm not going to dare go over. But congratulations. Thank you for your involvement. And Long Beach is a great place, and it's getting even better. Thank you.
Thank you, Commander Johnson. And now let's hear about East Division. Lieutenant Rosenthal.
Good evening. I don't think I can top the commander, but I can echo him. I've been pushing a black and white longer than I can remember, and it's probably the best job that you could possibly have. You can take that car and put it any place you want, anytime you want. Deal with business, right? And we do, because you see it. You see it all the time. East Division, it's the largest square footage to patrol in the city. It's 22 square miles, better than half the city size. 5 council districts, including District 2, as you well know, a little sliver of that. I'm very proud of everybody. I really am. We couldn't do what we do without your help. Absolutely couldn't do it. You know, we have black and whites out there. We have plainclothes detectives out there. We're doing everything we can do, but without your ears and your eyes, we're not going to get there. Just a couple of quick stories. Just in this district in the last few weeks, a couple people paying attention in their own neighborhoods, paying attention to what's going on. See a couple of people look into a car, make a phone call. Next thing you know, they're breaking into the car. We get on scene and we take them into custody. You did that. We didn't do that. You did it. We showed up because you called because you were paying attention. You know more about what's going on in your area than we do. And that's what we need. That's what we need. That's the type of support, the partnership that the police department's looking for from its citizens. So I thank you. I thank you. Good job. Thank you.
I know you hear us say often that public safety is our #1 priority, whether it's through fire services or police services. But if we can always remember, just in a very basic way, police officers and firefighters run into situations that human intuition tells us to run away from. And for that, I thank you every day for doing that. Thank you very much. This year, I thought it would be beneficial to invite the principals from our 2nd District schools to say a few words about their schools and how they're performing, given what is arguably the worst budget crisis ever to face the city of Long Beach, as well as the Long Beach Unified School District. First up is Lorraine Griego, principal at Burbank Elementary School. Lorraine, thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Suja, very much for inviting me. Well, I'm a Long Beach girl, Long Beach Poly girl, to be specific. You know, it's a Poly thing. This is my 3rd year as principal at Burbank Elementary School. We're a kindergarten through 5th grade school. We have approximately 750 students. We are impacted. We bus out more than 200 students to schools on the east side of Long Beach. This is what you see in front of our school, both before school and after school. And we always call the Long Beach Police Department to come and help us with traffic, but there are many more other things that are going on. And it's like this in front of all of our schools. This is the front of our school. And one of the things that I thought of when I walked up for my interview at Burbank Elementary School is I felt like I was walking the plank. And that cursive sign for Luther Burbank, we can do better than that. So I think the next picture up is Luther and his experiments with crossbreeding of plants, over 800 different varieties, gave us the Santa Rosa plum, the Shasta daisy, the russet potato, and even the spineless cactus. So Luther's goal was to increase our world's food supply. And does anybody out there know what March 7th is? Arbor Day. It's also Luther's birthday, so it makes a lot of sense. A little bit of history about Burbank. Burbank was initially named Carroll Park School, and in 1922, Principal Huff changed the name to Luther Burbank. It was one of his heroes. Like most Long Beach buildings, or many of our Long Beach historical buildings, Burbank had to be rebuilt after the 1933 earthquake. We do have many famous or well-known people that did attend Burbank. Henry Buffum, remember Buffum's department store? Anybody? Yeah, a long time ago. Gerald and Walter Desmond, you know the Desmond Bridge? Okay. Beverly O'Neill was not only a student at Burbank Elementary School, but she also did her student teaching there. So that's something that I'm very proud of. When I first got the job at Luther Burbank Elementary School, one of the things that my students taught me was they called the front of our school the park in front of our school. And from that, I've been able to build a relationship with both the 4th Street Business Association and also Rose Park Neighborhood Association. And we've come up with a project that we're calling Garden of the Mind. And Garden of the Mind is actually a quote from Luther Burbank. And one of the things that bothered me, as I said before in the beginning, was the signage, that cursive. And so we came up with a way to replicate that for the front of our school. We're working on it still. It hasn't happened. And the original signage in front of our school, or rather on the original front of our school, which faces 4th Street, it's going to be a match for that. So I'm really proud of that. This design that you see right here was kind of our first, try at it for what we wanted to see and have in front of our school. And then the next one is what it's going to actually be like. The plank is gone. No one's going to have to walk the plank. We're going to have trees. We're going to have benches. We're going to have a separate kindergarten entrance. We're going to have planting beds to plant gardens for our students will actually get to participate in. And doesn't that look like a real park? It really looks like a real park. I'm really, really proud of that. And I want our neighborhood kids to use it when school is not open. Our Garden of the Mind project has a mosaic project that one of our parents, who's a local artist, is going to help us in, Don Mendelson. And it's going to be a joint effort with students, parents, and community, and anybody else who wants to participate. So in closing, what I'd like to tell you, as Suja said, we're suffering through the budget cuts like everyone else. So if you don't have anything to do, come down to Burbank and volunteer. We need help in the office. We need help in the playground. We need help in our library. We need help in the cafeteria. We need people that can help our students with math and reading. We no longer have language arts or math specialists, and they were the people who helped our most at-risk kids. One of my sayings is, for kids' sake, instead of for goodness sake. So that's why I do the work I do. So come spend some time with our students, and I promise you, you'll leave with a smile on your face, and you might even be tempted to skip down what used to be the plank. Thank you very much.
Wanted to thank Lorraine for her efforts, and I think what she demonstrated to you is really what partnerships with local residents and neighborhood associations and business quarters can do. Burbank Elementary School is going to be more beautiful than it is today, and really it's with all of your help. Next up is David Taylor, principal at Franklin Middle School. David?
Well, good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here, and I want to thank Councilmember Lowenthal for inviting me. I've spoken to many of you, some of you at least, over the years. I don't know if I have any parents here, but I have talked at some length with Commander Johnson and his predecessors. I've worked closely with Commander Blythe and also with, I guess, Deputy Chief Blair. We have a very close working relationship with the Long Beach Police Department. I'm very grateful for all the South Division does to keep our schools safe. I'm very pleased to acknowledge, and I think Commander Johnson could say the same thing, that we've had a lot fewer calls for service this year. The incidence of juvenile crime is way down at Franklin Classical in the 6 years I've been there, and that has to do with a lot of the community and all the support we get from the city as well as all the departments. As Councilmember Lowenthal said, safety is our primary concern too. Everything we can do to keep kids safe is really huge. And I wanted to acknowledge my assistant principal who's with me tonight, Angelica Gonzalez. She's back in the back there, because they're so seldom acknowledged, but they are the backbone of our schools. Lots have happened recently at Franklin. For many, many years we were known as Franklin Middle School, and then 4 years ago we changed to Franklin Classical Middle School in hopes of raising student achievement. I'm proud to share with you that over the last 4 years the student achievement has improved each of the last 4 years, and thanks to the hard work of the teachers and our parent volunteers and community members, we're eager for the improvement for our children's learning to continue to grow. As Councilmember Lowenthal mentioned, we are facing horrific budget cuts, and I can't echo the sentiments any better than Ms. Griego in inviting all of you to come to our school and to do anything you can to support our youngsters. Now, I spend my day with tweeners, kids that are between the ages of 10 and 15, and so for many of you that may not be the age group that you like to spend most of your time with. Some of you, when you drive by, you might see me at Dan's Burgers, one of our hot spots, or in the Hellman area. I'm up there quite a bit after school. I know a number of the neighbors see me walking as far as 10th, sometimes I'm at Almond, a lot of Mahana. I go all over the place trying to make sure that the kids are getting home safely. And I just want to thank the 2nd Council District, 1st Council, because we're in 3 different council districts at Franklin, and for all the city does to work in collaboration with our fine district to help keep the kids safe and also help accelerate student achievement. And thank you all very much.
If I can just emphasize to you how committed our teachers are and our principals. When I first met David, he was standing on the corner, a street corner actually, a very well-dressed man, and I couldn't figure out what he was doing. I was on the school board at the time. And what he was doing, I will tell you, and you'll see him when you drive by, he was trying to make sure that the students going to Franklin had a grown person looking out for them. And he, along with his staff, they stand at the street corners and they usher the kids into school. And that is true commitment. So I'd like to thank both principals that were here, and I want to thank everyone for being here.